Started off Wednesday morning at 8:30 from Chilwell Base in Nottingham. From there we walked through Nottingham to County Hall, where we had a civic reception, and Councillor Pettit came out and handed a tree over to us. Today we started off at Leicester, rallying to Montfort Hall Park, and we're now on our way down to Market Harborough. It's about another 6 miles away, I think.
Which I believe is all of 42 miles. And for being prepared to go ahead with sponsorship and the difficult task of extracting money from those who are not actually on the march. Your march is but the latest symbol of resistance to NATO's plans for nuclear war, as they are being presently prepared at the new cruise missile base at Molesworth.
Well, we wanted to grow things on the base to symbolize that we were trying to work for life, and also because this is 680 acres of wasteland that hasn't been used since the Second World War, and we don't think the Ministry of Defence have any right to it. Well, after growing beans and sunflowers and trees for a couple of years, we felt that we wanted to grow something more meaningful on the land, something that wasn't just a symbol of what we were trying to do, but actually might get across to people that we were trying to save people's lives rather than kill people. We felt that we should be growing crops on the land that was meant to be used for cruise missiles. All the wheat that we sent from Molesworth last October reached Eritrea. We sent 2 people from our project down there. They raised money, and they went down to Port Sudan and traveled all the way into the villages with the wheat, and they saw it distributed on Christmas Day, and it fed 900 families. So that was very exciting. And we'd already begun the preparation for the spring planting, because groups from all over the country were coming every weekend, and some during the weeks as well, on their pledge days, and digging their own allotments. Just 2 days, literally, before the fences went up, we had made breakthroughs with some of the local farmers who had said that they would actually come onto the base with their own tractors and plow it up. The whole thing was really steamrollering towards Easter, just as the fences went up. The night of the invasion, someone rang up and said that they'd just been on the A45, I think it was, and had just passed this 3-mile-long army convoy with diggers and all sorts of heavy equipment, and they thought it might be heading this way.
As far as we were concerned, it started about 9 o'clock in the evening, and we were just walking back from the phone box in the village of Old Weston, and Jennifer thought she saw some lights on the base that we hadn't seen before. So we came up here, and we decided to go out in our car, and we went right into the middle of the base where the hangars are, drove around, but it seemed very quiet. And just as we were leaving, we saw a MOD police van, and he stopped and asked us what we were doing. So we said we were just having a look round, and Jennifer said,
I thought something exciting might be going to happen, and he said chance would be a fine thing, and this was literally about an hour before they moved in.
We came back here certain that it was all just more rumours, and Bridie had stayed here. She had a phone call in the meantime saying that this huge convoy had just gone through Oakenbury and was on its way here for definite. So we rushed out, and Ian and Jennifer drove their Mini in front of the convoy.
We managed to get down Cockbrook Lane and put our Mini across the road, in fact stopping the convoy for a fraction of a minute. They actually got out and lifted us and our Mini to the other side of the road. But we did actually stop it, albeit for a very short time.
This was the convoy arriving. It was the most horrific thing you've ever seen. It was like, well, like it must have been, you know, when the Nazis invaded Poland or something, you know, just seeing these, I mean, you could see it, as far as you could see, lights of vehicles, and this rumble of trucks, and they were just coming in from several directions, and just fanning out all over the base. It was all dark, you know, it was nighttime. I spent the whole night, you know, trying to help the villagers pack up their things and trying to defend a few trees here and there that they were bulldozing and trying to, you know, make a presence. But there were just thousands and thousands of police and soldiers. I've never seen as many in my life.
I really, the whole thing was just stunning, really, and numbing. It was almost as if it were totally unreal, as if we were taking part in some kind of enormous Hollywood epic about the invasion of the Russians. And because it wasn't the Russians, it was British Army and British police, but it felt very much as if we were really living in a police state that night and that day.
I think the saddest part for me was watching what happened to the chapel. Just a few days previously, we'd held a service in there. It was going to be regular 4 o'clock on a Sunday, and we just watched as it was transformed. There was a flower bed outside and grass, and it was completely trampled over. No respect for the plants growing. 2 trees were just actually torn apart with bare hands by a soldier, and the faces of those concerned just had a sort of an indifference. It was as though they weren't even seeing what was happening. It had just been given their orders to carry it out. This, I found, I mean, this is violence. Nobody was physically hurt, but this was incredible violence and destruction, and it was sad and wicked to see. It really was.
As the reports came in, I did have a strong feeling that here were works being done in darkness, in the way that Jesus spoke of the works of evil being done in darkness. What it amounted to, in my view, was a ruthless action, which was a symbol of an evil which is, in the end, beyond the control of human politicians. And it was that menace that the operation by night symbolised to me, and I know to a lot of other people as well.
Most people, I think, were a bit shocked, a bit resentful. I was, when I realised what the meaning of it was. And they were there was great confusion with the police. Enormous numbers of police were swarming all over the village. One was virtually almost under sort of house arrest. Well, it's very difficult to find anybody who would admit to being in charge of Molesworth. But the extraordinary thing was, for the first few days, there was no form of liaison with the public had been set up. There was no one no telephone lines. There was nobody who seemed to be in charge. And that caused a lot of trouble.
Utter confusion just after the fence had gone up. I spent a day in those villages. I went to the school and talked to the teachers and the children. I've talked to a number of the villagers of many different views. I've formed the clear impression that when the villagers say that we are all of one mind, that we don't want peace campers, we don't want our way of life disturbed, we don't very much like the cruise missile site, but it stands for law and order, and that's the view of all of us. I've very much of the impression that that is not so, that not far beneath the surface there's a lot of fear, and it's not always easy for people to identify what they're afraid of. But I believe that it really is the very threatening appearance of the camp as it stands now, and what it actually is going to house in the future, and what it stands for in terms of possible destruction.
I wanted to do something about, I mean, I don't like to stop cruise missiles at Molesworth. I don't like to stop cruise missiles in Britain anywhere. And basically all I want is to be able to have kids without them under the threat of nuclear war. I don't want to do anything so extremist like break the law. No. I just want to do something that's peaceful, but it's going to get noticed. And besides, it's going to be fun as well. Make new friends.
It's a nasty sort of sense of police presence everywhere. Everything you do, you feel like being watched, particularly at weekends. If you go anywhere near the wire, you're liable to be spied on, and the helicopter will come overhead. And, you know my own land. If I go up in a vehicle near the wire, the Ministry of Defence guards will appear out of nowhere, and they'll stand about 20 yards away, the other side of the wire, staring at you, and not their dogs or police dogs on leads. And it's very unnerving.
There are about 600 Ministry of Defence police on the base at the moment, and they come from all over the country, Scotland and everywhere, and most of those have had no contact with what's gone on at Molesworth, and a lot of them don't even have the faintest idea what's going on now. Ministry of Defence police are incredibly bored. They spend, a lot of them, 12-hour shifts just walking around in the mud with absolutely nothing to do whatsoever. They have to sleep in these huge old hangars with cold wind blowing through them. When we first went onto the base after the fence went up, they had one portaloo for the entire base. I presume they have a bit more than that now. But we have had a lot of complaints from Ministry of Defence police saying that the conditions are just appalling, and that every once in a while someone comes down with hypothermia or something, and they're not very happy about it. They get paid well, and that's why they're there, and they keep telling us that. They wouldn't be there. They're not there because they believe in what they're doing, which is why we're here, of course. They're there because that's their job, and they get paid really well.
They've been really good, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Coming up to Molesworth, just outside Molesworth, they changed police, and they seemed, I think they've changed tunes a bit, and they've got a lot more aggressive directive towards us. But until then, they've been absolutely superb.
The very local police, who we've been working with for years, we know very well, and we get on very well with them, and they're in fact extremely sympathetic with what we're doing.
The Ministry of Defence are not easy people to deal with. I mean, for a start, by putting their barbed wire right up against the boundary hedge, they have in effect forced all their problems over onto my land, my neighbour's land, which was I think a very unneighbourly, selfish thing to do.
That's fantastic. Miserable because it's been raining most of the day. There's been a lot of anti-CND posters on the road. But apart from that, it's been great, especially at last getting here after 5 days. Last night was absolutely fantastic. We got to Corby and there was spontaneous dancing as we got outside the festival. We had the Fallout marching band with us, and we spent about half an hour just dancing around in front of the hall. It was absolutely fantastic how we come together as a group, because yesterday at lunchtime we suddenly started playing games, and we got about half the people there involved in the game of knots. And it was absolutely great, because we'd instigated it, and it just seems as though we're really cohesive, cohesive all together, and it's been absolutely fantastic. We all feel really great about it. Tired, sore, but alright. Yeah, I'm glad I came. Wouldn't have missed it. Tried to find my book when the van comes and have a good read, and that's all.
Since the last World War, a sort of continuing war mentality has been kept up, so that you must have an enemy. And so my attitude to that situation is that we all, and the church must play an important part in this, have to do all we can to overcome that sort of pseudo-war mentality, where you've got some bad people out there that you must hate. And nuclear weapons, particularly, a very striking example of how, because you're so afraid of somebody opposite you, you must actually present them with this sort of thing.
I'm not happy about sighting more nuclear bases in Britain, and in particular foreign nuclear bases. I mean, these are going to be entirely under American control. That worries me very much, and I don't think there ought to be any more nuclear bases. I think we have quite enough as it is. Yes, I would like to see them all nuclear bases go, but that's unrealistic in the short run. And I think the first thing is to stop things getting any worse.
Well, I love the countryside, and I love plants and trees and birds, and I'm aware that these particular weapons are going to destroy everything that means anything in life to me. I'm not here because of people, because I know people have all got a brain and can work it out for themselves. But I am here as representing the things that are going to have no say in the future. And I think that we have all got to take responsibility for the world we live in. It hasn't just been given to us to misuse. We have to take care of it. We have got to look after it for the next generation. And every single person has got to feel that it is their responsibility. And that's why I came, just to witness here against what's going on, because I believe there is an alternative. They were using the alternatives here. They were planting wheat for the starving. That, to me, is what it's all about. That's what we should be caring about, making sure everybody is getting a meal a day.
I wasn't all that committed to the peace movement or to cruise missiles or Molesworth or anything else when I came, but I certainly got more and more of a commitment ever since I first started coming here. And it just is a very powerful place that draws a lot of people to it.
We parked the caravan here, particularly because we wanted to be near the chapel and near the entrance, because people were coming quite regularly at weekends to visit Rainbow Village. And we thought it was really nice in the winter weather to be able to offer a cup of tea and welcome people and point them in the direction to see everything that was going on here.
The original peace campers, who were largely Christians, some of them were Quakers, they started to build a chapel there with the help of a large number of other people. And when the walls had reached a reasonable height, they asked if I would come and say some prayers of blessing, which I was glad to do, with a whole range of other people, including people from other religions, including Buddhists. And we met together and asked that that place might be used as a place of peace and of prayer for peace. And in an extraordinary way, I think it's actually done that. And it's even more poignant because it's now behind the barbed wire.
Got some idea of what's going to happen. We are told by the police to expect a minimum of 20,000 people, possibly more if it's fine. We know what theoretically is supposed to happen, but what will happen in practice, who can possibly say, because there's never been a demonstration like that here in these parts or in an area with no common land.
was potentially creative and fruitful land, now being used for destructive, or at the very least, sterile purposes.
We'd lost what was in effect a great public amenity. I mean, people had been going for walks, having picnics and walking dogs and flying model aeroplanes and kites and things, and that has been swept away. And a great ugly thing with barbed wire and what else had been installed. And,
we know that a few villagers who support the government and a lot of police and a lot of barbed wire is quite a lot to put up with, but we're on the majority of the world, there's no question, and we're doing the right things, and it's just a matter of time before we win.